Welcome back to Retro Rewire, hard off house combo, and we are in Suzuka and Mie Prefecture. Let's hit it. And Retro Rewire game tours, I'll leave a link in the description, so hit me up. And I also have an Instagram account where I post a lot of exclusive content, so make sure to follow me on there. And let's just dive right in. And the one thing that was cool about this particular store is that they had quite a bit of hardware. And as you can see, we have a variety of Sony handhelds, and I'll leave pricing up to you guys, but to be honest, these prices are not surprising. This is where we are in this day and age. That Game Boy Pocket was actually 3,300 yen. That's not actually too bad of a price, but it was scuffed because I did ask to have a look at that. And that's one thing that you can do as well if you find yourself at a hard off in Japan. They will definitely bust out this hardware so you can have a closer look. Now, these SPs are definitely on the higher side. And I just want to say that I'm averaging about like one game store per day. I hit up so many game shops. And well, I'll get to that, but this Game & Watch, 14,300 yen. That was the Donkey Kong one. And this Neo Geo Pocket Color, this one had me thinking. As a matter of fact, I was here an extra 20 minutes just kind of thinking after I was done filming because that thing was so mean looking. But what I was going back to, I hit up so many hard offs, and pretty much like these prices are not surprising. And this is going to be like, it's the new norm. It's everyday normacy. Look at this. 49,500 yen for this new 3DS with the Super Famicom design, which I'm not really a fan of, to be honest, but you know, it's definitely sought after. It is collectible. 77,000 for this Rockman on the Famicom. Now, this was a lot less expensive at the Super Potato, and I think it was in Nagoya, and I think it was in better condition. And then here we have some more of the newer hardware, and I don't really recommend coming out to the country if you're Switch hunting, PS5, PS4, PS3. In fact, 7th generation and up to current gen, stick to Akihabara, as you will find a lot of good deals, and you won't have to travel as far. And that's specifically for those of you overseas that are planning trips out to Japan. But here we have a Super Game Boy controller. And if you've noticed, I've been filming on my phone because I actually came here after work. I was out here at the Suzuka circuit, and this was about late September. And they were also setting up for the F1 races there. So that was definitely cool. That's what brought me out here. And on the left, we got all our hardware. On the right, we have all the software. And we'll definitely take a look at a lot of this stuff. Here we got a Mega CD2. And just kind of going through this hardware section, I was definitely feeling the Narita hard off vibe, as they also have tons and tons of hardware. But look at this, these GameCubes in the box, 7,000, 8,000, and 6,600 yen for this Orange Spice. Now, there could be some damage, there could be some stuff that's missing, but overall the condition of the box is fairly clean. And I want to say that that's actually a pretty competitive price. And then next to that, we got some N64, and you know, they had a lot of Nintendo, a lot of Sega, as you will see. That there's a little fallen sign off of an old school NEC PC, which we'll have a look at as well. 5,500 yen for the Saturn, so a lot of decent prices. Now, this Famicom coming in at 6,600 yen. If you really look, you will find that you know, at a better price. Here we have some twin Famicoms, which they actually had quite a few of. You know, they have those two in the box, which those boxes were a little bit rough. Here we have some Dreamcasts, pretty good color on those, and then the Hello Kitty keyboard. But they also have, going back to the twin Famicom, we will see that they had quite a bit that were actually just loose. And then this beautiful, look at that Model 2 Sega, still retaining its color. We'll have a closer look at that one as well. But as you can see, a lot of Sega Saturn hardware, a lot of Sega hardware in general. And when a place has a lot of Sega hardware, PC Engine hardware, then that's always a good sign, because when they have those, they're going to have plenty of Nintendo hardware, plenty of Sony hardware. But look at this. Look at that 16-bit. The T is a little bit rough, but overall, that's a beautiful looking thing. I always look at that to see how scuffed it is, as well as the reset, the blue button. Here we got the CD-ROM combo for 33,000 yen. We got some twin Famicoms, and some of these were as expensive as those in the box. Now, I got to say, the red one really steals the show, especially when it's kind of the odd one out there. And then here we got some more Famicoms. These I recommend, you know, in the junk section. They have testing units, so you could definitely test those out, and you're going to be paying like 500 yen as opposed to 8,000. We got the top loader there. We got some N64s. We even got the gold one there. And look at this cube, 8,800 yen. That's more expensive than those in the box. So something's funky going on there. And then we got an old Sega Mark III, which here they had quite a bit of this old school Sega hardware. Look at the controller here. I believe you can screw in a little joystick on that, if I'm not mistaken. And then here's the early, this is a 77 vintage early Nintendo console, the TV Game 15. So for the hardcore Nintendo collector, that should be on your list. We got a Mark III here. We got another Mark III, and I believe they had an SG-1000. Yeah, here we go, the Mark II. Kind of some cool, funky designs there. And I'm not really familiar with this old school PC hardware. Here's that NEC PC with its kind of loose tag there, but 29,700 yen, and that was like an early 80s vintage, as well as this one. But anyhow, let's go into slightly newer stuff. We got a PS2 Slim, the 9000. Now, the PS2 Slims, especially those that come complete in box, those are actually seeing a slight rise, I've been noticing, in the last few months. So if that's on your list, now would be the time to pick one up for sure. I mean, look at the loose ones, 8,000 yen, 11,000, 14,000. Those things are steadily climbing. There's a white one in the back for 8,000, which the white colored Slim is actually a thing of beauty, as are these old school 360s. Look at that, 2,200 yen. And what else do we have here? We got some Wiis and some Wii U's. Plenty of that. And there's a lot of them in the box. 3,300 yen. 4,000. So a lot of these could be discolored, missing a few things, the condition of the box. But they had plenty of Wii and Wii U. 7,700 yen. That's not actually too bad of a price there. And this is the basic set in 8 gig. And then we have the 32 gig for 1,000 yen more. And then here we have our boxed Famicom and Super Famicom stuff. And another Sega Genesis at 22,000 yen. And what do we have here? 13,200 for that PS1 Mini. And now we're going into the more current stuff here. We got the BR2 for 46. I wonder how that is. I'm so disconnected with like the newer stuff, but I will be picking up a PS5 Slim. It's time to go current gen. It's definitely high time, as there's a few games. I want to play that Alan Wake 2. That thing looks pretty mean. But here we go with our Switch hardware. Again, if you're hunting for Switch, PS5, PS4, Xbox One, just stick to Akihabara. It's not really worth coming out here for that kind of stuff. But here we have this is a PS2 backwards compatible at 6,600 yen. That's a pretty mean that's a pretty good price there. What else do we have? Another little showcase of more hardware. And then we have the old PS5 that was running on the telly there. But 57,200 yen. You could definitely find those at least around Saitama. They're the disc version of these first iteration. I guess now that the Slim is out, but like the first iteration of these PS5s, they're coming in at 48,000, like around Saitama. Here we got 19,800 for these PS3s, and some of those are PS2 backwards compatible. Here we have our PS4s, quite a bit of stuff there. And then look at this beauty, 22,000. And as far as I can tell, the box has like a little bit of damage, and apparently there's scratches and dirt. But again, if you ask the staff, they will open this up so you could have a closer look. But 22,000 for something like this, I feel that that's fairly reasonable, especially as you don't really see that bundle. But back to this Saturn, look how beautiful this thing is. It's still retaining a lot of its color. Even like the shielding is like, look at that, it's not even stained. Now just seeing something like that, it definitely puts it on my pickup list. I definitely want a Model 2 now after seeing that one. Thing of beauty. Then we have the Mark of the Wolves stick for the PS2, Mario Paint, and the Virtual Cop gun. And then we have Genma Tomaden, I believe. And this is, I believe, on the Famicom, but I'm not sure if it's the same as the arcade PC Engine game. But anyhow, that's going to segue into the hardware. Now, we're going to do a quick montage or a quick blitz of the stuff that's hanging on the peg hooks. And there is some interesting stuff, so let's check it out. All right, y'all. So now we're going to take a look at what's in the showcase, and we have Cotton 100 for 28,600 yen. I actually saw that Cotton 100 at a book off in Shinjuku, and it was at 15,000. And then we have Super Contra here, or Super C, for 27,500 yen. That box looks fairly clean. And in the back, we have a Jackie Crush for 3,850, which isn't too bad of a price there. And then we have another copy of that Genma Tomaden. I believe that's the name. I always forget. But anyhow, we got some Super Castlevania 4 at 3,000 next to Flashback. And there's some decent titles in here. We have that Strike Gunner STG. And then we have Salamander for the PC Engine coming in at 5,500 yen. And then we have Gradius, the Deluxe Pack. And a few, not too many PC Engine games, which is always it's always a bummer, as I'm really into the PC Engine, especially this year. I got into it hard. In fact, I'm going to be putting out kind of like a hardware buying guide for all things PC Engine, so definitely stay tuned for that. But we have Superstar Soldier for 3,850. Now this was on day 2, and they kind of rearranged things because the Salamander game actually sold. So they're definitely on top of it. But here we have this Valkyrie Densetsu, which is also on the Namco Museum for the PS1, and that version is is really good, as a matter of fact. Not really sure what this is, some kind of sumo game. And then we have like this dinosaur game by Masna, who they have quite a bit of few games, noteworthy games that they've published. We got some Fire Emblem action there. And then we have some Pokemon action for the GBA coming at 3,850. And then Samurai Spirits 2 for 4,950. And we have some tennis game for the Pocket. And then Sonic and Knuckles in the back, 27,500 yen. No surprise there. No matter where whoever has, actually that's on the lower end. Usually it's about 3,000 and some change. So that could potentially be, I guess, a new age deal, so to speak. But anyhow, let's go ahead and hit up the stacks and see what kind of stuff we find. That's how it just goes. We have to hunt, we have to pick. Let's see here. In fact, this Daedalus, that's an early release on the Saturn, as well as this Daytona USA for 500 yen. And the little tag there, it just says that the disc is not in the case. So you take it up when you buy it, and they'll pull it out. Now, Toriko or Lunacy, I was totally meaning to pick this one up, but y'all know how it goes. I usually forget at the end of filming. Then we have Myst for the 3DO. This was the only 3DO title that they had on hand. And Sunsoft published that. Kind of interesting. And Populous for the old PC Engine. This is one of 2 titles, the other one being Fantasy Zone. I think this is going to be the better of the 2, at least for my taste. 2,000 yen there before sales tax. But that's kind of sad. I wish they had more PC Engine in stock. Let's see how the Dreamcast goes. We got Virtua Fighter 3 Team Battle, Power Stone. At least they have the fighting games. Look at all these. We got Capcom versus SNK 1 and 2, with the original coming in at 1,000 yen before sales tax. And then only 2 RPGs for the Mega Drive. We got Phantasy Star at the End of the Millennium with its beautiful cover art, as well as like the art in the back. Look at this. So beautiful there. And then the other one, I believe, was a Shining Force 2 for 2,000 yen before sales tax. So not too many Mega Drive offerings, but they definitely had a lot of hardware, as you just saw. But what good is hardware without any games? Here we have D on the old Saturn. Love that game. And then we have some GameCube titles. Here we have Double Dash for 800 yen before sales tax. That's not actually too bad. That's actually pretty good, especially if you're bringing dollars. Which this location actually accepted currency. They even had like the currency exchange rate up at the register. But here we have a Sonic Mega Collection. I think I put that one in my basket, but I didn't end up buying it. But we have Super Mario Strikers there for 800 yen. So it looks like a lot of the games were averaging about 800 yen there for the GameCube. And then here we have a variety, an assortment of handheld titles. Always like looking through there as I'm slowly but surely building my Game Boy collection. And then here we have JoJo's Bizarre Adventure on the PS1, which actually isn't too bad. And with the spine card there. Usually that game doesn't have the spine card displayed. or not even at all. And then here we have some old school PC games. What is this? Star Striders. Not really familiar with this old school PC stuff, but it looks interesting. And then here we have Farland Story, another role-playing game. And then this one I believe also has an entry on the Super Famicom, kind of like an isometric type of game. And then what good is a hard off without the Rockman titles? They have quite a few here. Not too many, mind you, but the PlayStation and the Famicom always holding it down with the Rockman titles. Rockman 8, that's a great entry there. Not really sure what this is, but it had a 0.12 rating. So that's kind of like a late release, especially if it has like those the rating system there. But for the PS3, they had some decent titles here, and a few of them were the North American variants, like this X-Men Destiny coming in at 3,000 yen. That's the interesting thing, you know. Earlier I said, you know, stick to Akihabara, but every now and then, you know, you will find some interesting PS3 titles that you wouldn't expect to see in a place like Suzuka. But here we have Silent Hill Homecoming for 4,500 yen. Kind of an interesting entry there. But anyhow, let's make our way into the junk, and we're gonna start here in the showcase, and lots of handheld stuff here. And there's even like an Orange Spice controller coming in at 2,750 for the old GameCube. But look at this, just an assortment of titles. Now, every now and then you will see like a 3DS that the only issue is like the yellow screen, and you will see them for as low as 2,000 yen. But that's definitely like you definitely need some luck on your side for that to happen. And what do we have here? We got another PC game. We got some Dragon Slayer action for 4,400 yen, but there's definitely an issue, and that's why it's in the junk case. But here's all the junk hardware. So overall, this store was not too bad, especially on the hardware front. So if you're looking for some kind of like especially that old school retro Sega hardware, this could definitely be a place to put on your radar. Look at the Saturn mouse, 1,650, and that thing is compatible with an assortment of light gun games. So if you have a newer TV, that's definitely another option as opposed to the controller. Here we got a Super Scope, kind of rough there with the box. But anyhow, guys, there's gonna be more on Mie Prefecture coming soon. Ciao.